Hey neighbor, it's cold in South Georgia. Hence the man scarf and the pink jacket. But we're still at it. Today we're going to be talking about gardening in general, but we're going to go back and look at things a little bit different. What we would do different if we were starting over. Welcome to the Row by Row Gardening Show, the best dadgum gardening show on the internet, where we talk about gardening, a little bit of cooking, and growing your own food. Now sit back and enjoy. And the reality is, I would probably do a few things different.
You don't like my pink jacket?
I like your pink jacket, yeah.
He gets on to me for wearing bright clothes on set.
Yeah, bland colors do better. Yeah.
Well, that scarf's not bland.
Yeah, it's warm though. You know, I asked the girls in the office today if I was pulling off this man scarf, but I'm gonna tell you what, this man scarf here, when it's cold, keeping that neck warm.
Keeping your neck warm is important.
We down in the 20s.
Yeah, and we didn't get any snow.
No snow, but
which I'm a little okay with.
Yeah, we got a little calendula got knocked back. It's gonna be okay, but got knocked back. I didn't cover it on purpose. I wanted to see how much cold it would take, and but it's gonna be okay. It just got knocked back.
I covered mine. It's a little younger though.
It is a little younger, and
I didn't really notice anything yet. My foxglove got a little bit from the frost. That one morning I didn't cover it.
Stevia in the greenhouse got bit pretty hard. Of course, that's normal. Stevia.
Yeah, it'll come back.
It'll come back. I've been having to run the heater in the greenhouse.
Oh, my hollyhocks got a little bit, but
for some reason or other, we're having a colder winter than what we've been accustomed to for the last few years, which is okay.
Maybe it'll cut down on the bugs.
That's what the old timers said. Always, you need a good cold winter to get the bugs knocked down, the bug population knocked down. We haven't had anything in the teens, but we've had a lot of 20-degree nights, or 20-ish degree nights.
Yeah, it's going to be cold through next week.
I know our neighbors up north are going, poor pitiful you. But that's the reality. I text Andy at True Grit quite a bit because I like to keep up with their weather. They're a lot colder than we are. So
yeah, she said she didn't walk one morning because she said it wasn't the cold, it was the wind.
Yeah.
Man, I've been watching her cook.
Man, we've eaten more homemade biscuits in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, she made some different biscuits yesterday.
Really?
Now I got to try them.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to be talking about gardening. And here's the deal, folks. Me and her garden a lot. We always have. Now, we have to garden differently.
Yeah.
We can't get along gardening together. So it ain't like we garden cohesively
we do better, though.
We do somewhat, but we don't.
I stay out of yours. You haven't been staying out of mine.
Well, yeah, it's true. You've been asking for some of my help, though. I've been trying to help a little bit. But we don't garden cohesively. You do your thing and I do my thing. And you don't ask me.
Sometimes I ask about fertilization.
Yeah, but you don't. If you get ready to flip a bed or whatever, you just do it. And I do the same thing in mine. So we have two different gardens. I know that may not work for everybody. It's kind of like bank accounts. We've been married a long time. 40-ish years, and we've had to have two separate banking accounts.
You own my bank account.
I'm on your bank account, but I've not wrote a check or got any money out of your bank account in years.
You did Sunday.
Well, that was a little bit different. Had people in the community lost their house to a fire, and we made a little small donation. But anyway, I have pretty much left your money alone. I think you'll agree to that. Yeah. And I have mine, and you have yours. Now and I tell people, you do what works. That's what works for us. Is that same thing with our garden? You do your garden, I do my garden. That's what works for us. Don't judge here. Just what works. She's got her strategy or way of doing things, and I've got my way of doing things.
So today we're talking about if we were just going to start a garden in 2026, our first garden.
What would we do different?
What would we do different based on our experience? That's interesting.
It is.
And we've had a couple of gardens, so because this is my second set of raised beds. So I think thinking through all that.
I put your first set of raised beds in 1995. 96. 1996.
It was after my hip surgery.
Yeah, and they lasted a pretty long time, but they gave up the ghost a couple of years ago, and we had to move on to a different area and a different kind of raised bed and a bigger garden. So.
And you thought it was too big?
I thought it was too big, but it actually has turned out really well. One of the problems with your garden is it takes a lot of pine straw. For the walkways are all pine straw, and it takes a lot of it gets expensive having to replace that. Mine, on the other hand, is all grass walkways, but I have mine broken up in plots. I'm an in-ground gardener for the most part. My garden area is 1/4 of an acre. And I have it broken up in plots and I have grass walkways now. I have a couple raised beds out there, just small ones.
And you're adding more.
We're going to be adding more.
Is it going to be with the walkways?
Yes, we're trying to figure. Evan and I are trying to figure that out now. We're going to add some display. We want to do some flower display garden area. But I totally garden different than her. I use tools like the wheel hose and the tiller and stuff like that. She is raised bed exclusively, with the exception of a couple of small raised stone beds, you would say. So she does it completely different than I do. What would we do different? Okay. When I started my garden, we had a family of 4. And my mother, I grew a lot of stuff for her. I used to grow okra for her. So we grew for a lot of people, give it away. This day and age, we don't have that much to grow for. It's just the 2 of us.
So you would start smaller.
I would start smaller.
Well, I think everybody should start small and add.
Yeah.
Not go out there gung-ho.
Yeah, I guess I got real big in a hurry because I enjoyed it, and then I was growing for a lot of people. I enjoyed growing watermelons and corn, stuff like that. So, yeah, I would probably start smaller if I was starting over again. And I would really evaluate what crops you wanted to grow.
And evaluate what time you have to spend out there. Like per day, I can usually spend about an hour a day.
At the most.
At the most. No, some days I can do more. At the least is an hour.
Okay, so you're talking about 5, 6 hours a week, 7 hours a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some days I might spend 2 hours, and so think about your time that you can allot.
And think about it this way. Think about how much time you have on your worst week, not your best week. So on your worst week, are you going to have enough time to take care of a certain size garden? Because life happens, and sometimes we have those worst weeks. Think about gardening. If it gets ahead of you, it's hard to catch up on.
Yeah, and a small, thriving garden is much more satisfying than a large one that you cannot tend to. And you have to then you feel guilty because you're letting it go, you can't harvest, and those kind of things.
And plan ahead. Now, I know this is really tough here because we've all been guilty of going to the big box store or ordering seeds online or anything like that, buying plants without really planning ahead. But plan ahead for what you want and how much you need, and don't buy more than what you need. Seeds are tiny envelopes of hope. The beds you put them in are the reality. So you're going to end up having the reality of beds, and when you buy those seeds, there's hope that it's going to turn into something special. And that's what faith is when we buy those seeds. Faith that it's going to turn into something
So you really
great.
need to have your beds, know what beds you're going to have and what you're going to plant before you buy your seeds. Don't buy your seeds and then have to adjust your beds or your garden
Right.
to what you bought.
And a fine example of that is corn and watermelons. A lot of times, and even some of our winter squash or trellising, these things take a lot of room. And if you don't have a lot of room, just don't buy them. Don't plan on growing corn and watermelons and cantaloupes and some of the winter squash if you just don't have a very big area, because there are more and better things that grow in small areas than they do the large areas. Now, I will say this right here. Once you get to the point where you can grow you a patch of sweet corn and you can grow watermelons and you can grow some good winter squash, you have arrived as what I call a mature gardener. You have conquered the worst of the worst. You can grow those. But start out small and grow some of the easy things.
If you're doing raised beds, make them accessible. Don't make them too wide or too long. And make them that fit you. So like mine have the boards on them so I can sit down because I have trouble getting down to the ground. So plan ahead and make it something that you can actually work in.
If you're not doing raised beds, you're doing in-ground gardeners like I'm doing, I think a 30 by 30 spot, and I've got one of these that I've laid out that I've been working on for the last couple of years, is an ideal size for the average gardener to start with.
Especially if you don't have a tractor or even a tiller, it's easy to manage.
30 by 30 in ground. You can have, we've got such things as the drip tubing. It's a little cheap. I say cheap. It's an affordable irrigation system that you can put in for irrigation. You can buy fertilizers to accommodate that size area, and you can grow a lot of stuff on a 30 by 30 area. If you really want to get down and not have to do much to it, you can use the Lazy Garden Kit, which is a 15 by 30. And what I did with this area last year is I put 2 of the 15 by 30 Lazy Garden Kits together, and I made a 30 by 30. I grew my watermelons there one year, and I grew my tomatoes there one year. So those work really good, and you don't have to have a whole lot to do that. I mean, you need to prepare it up front, but you can rent or borrow a tiller, get it prepared up, and then you're good to go after that.
So once you get your space defined, then you're deciding what to grow. Grow, especially begin with what you're going to eat.
Yeah, look in the refrigerator and think about what you despise buying at the grocery store that's going to be easy to grow, what you and your family enjoy the most. Now for us, a tomato sandwich is at the top of my list. Another thing that I hate to grow in the grocery store because I know how easy to grow is lettuce. I hate buying lettuce because it's just so easy to grow lettuce. Those things like that, we never buy collard greens or any kind of fresh greens in the grocery store because they're so easy to grow.
Or potatoes.
But we love growing
onions.
Oh yeah, all those things like that.
Yeah, I went to the grocery store last week, and I don't go but maybe once every 3 weeks. And I find myself the last couple of times not even going to the produce section. I mean, there's nothing there that I need.
Right. And those things are you need to look at what you enjoy growing, what's
And
you're
what
going to
you
consume.
cook 3 to 4 nights a week.
Yeah.
What disappears the fastest out of your refrigerator. And again, what you hate buying at the store. And think about it, if it's not going to end up on a plate, if you're not going to be eating it, then you don't need to grow it.
Right. Exactly. We've been guilty of that sometimes. We'd grow, I mean, I grow some of it to show people how to grow, but we don't consume it all.
Yeah.
And it's kind of,
And another thing, if it's something you really hate to harvest, you're going to tend not to do it or pay attention to it.
oh, butter beans. Butter beans for me. You have to harvest the butter beans. I hate harvesting. I love to eat them, but I hate harvesting butter beans.
Yeah. Okay.
One more thing, Mom, we'll get off that subject. People have a tendency when they put in a new garden, whether it be raised beds or an in-ground garden, to put it in a place in your yard that's out of area that you don't use. And what happens a lot of times, that's the bad spot that's got shade or it's got poor drainage. Make sure when you put a garden in, whether it's raised beds or it's an in-ground garden, that it has full sun if we're going to be growing vegetables, and also it's got good drainage and some of the best soil that you have on your property. You just don't want to stick it in an area just because you don't use it because it's...
It needs to be close to your house, accessible, because if it's not where you can see it every day, you're not going to be as apt to take care of it. Or if you've got to get in a car or a buggy and drive a mile, you're more apt not to.
Oh, so true, so true. So many times I've seen people plant at at somebody's house because they didn't have the area. You're so much better off to put a smaller garden in so that you got accessibility and you're going to enjoy it. If it's going to be a couple of 3 miles away, you're just not going to get there some afternoons. When you come in from work, if you can just walk out there a few steps and be there, there's a lot more out to it. Enjoy it and do those few mundane tasks like pulling weeds.
Another point is skip the fussy crops. The thing, especially if you're just starting a garden. Don't plant things that are just too, what am I trying to say?
Yeah, I just went over that. Corn, watermelons, those tough ones. Those tough ones are hard. And then from your raised beds perspective, what's the fussy ones? Medicinal herbs, maybe?
No.
Those are easy?
Yeah, those are easy.
What do you have trouble with? You don't have trouble with anything, do you?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
Because I think
Garlic, maybe garlic.
I think it's, which I'm learning on garlic. I think it's because I do such small areas, and I really only plant stuff that I know I can grow.
Right, and if you've got an area there...
Which now the blueberries are kind of testing me.
They're testing you.
And the muscadine grapes are testing me. I've got to learn how to manage those.
So speaking of growing what you need and what you want. So if you have a bed that comes up and you don't have anything to flip it into a food crop, you put it in the flowers.
I put it in the flowers, or I cover it up in mulch. That's where one thing we differ on a lot is I do a lot of mulching.
And I don't. I use cover crops. Yeah. Cover crops don't work as well in raised beds as they do in ground gardening. Grow for food, grow for your family, and don't grow for Instagram. Sometimes it's just not as pretty as those pictures are on Instagram. And that's okay. Our gardens go through stages, and they're pretty at some stages and some stages not. Be okay with that. Be okay with things being out of order just a little bit.
Yeah. Start with some easy things to start with. I'm on the next page.
Okay.
Cut and coming in greens, bush beans, tomatoes. If you've never grown tomatoes, start out with cherry tomatoes.
Yep.
Very easy. Get your fingers.
If you've never grown tomato, I'm going to tell you which one to grow. Grow sun sugar.
Yeah, sun sugar. And another thing is, don't go plant 20 different varieties of peppers. I'm bad on this.
Yeah.
I love to just look at peppers. And then, like grew, I don't know how many cayenne peppers last year. And I didn't need them all.
Yeah. It was pretty and they grow, but yeah, 1 or 2 pepper plants of each type is a plenty.
And if you're growing herbs, grow the easy herbs first. Basil, mint,
Yep.
just the really thyme.
Coriander.
Yeah.
Yep.
Things that are hard, dill, cilantro, if you don't plant it at the right time of year. But grow the easiest. Get you a sage plant, and they'll come back every year. Plant it in a spot that you're not going to need to plant anything else in.
Yeah, sage is good. It's a good one.
Do some easy wins.
Easy wins. Things that make you feel good.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a spot, you can always use a container for basil and things like that. They do really good in those type of things. All right, so let's go over real quick. What do you think the easy wins are? And I'm going to give you my spot on that. And you tell me if you agree with me or not. I'm not going to say onions. Onions are, I would say, medium.
But you could grow like the warrior bunch of onions.
Oh yeah, with multiplying onions. But the regular bulbing onions take a little bit of to do. Irish potatoes, easy peasy. Bush beans, green blaze, easy peasy. Radishes, beets, easy peasy. And squash is probably the easiest warm crop. Those are the 5 of the easiest ones, I would say.
Let me talk about flowers. Zinnias. Easy, they'll reseed themselves. Basil, some of the herbs. Rosemary, you can have a bush of rosemary. You can neglect it and it's not gonna.
Speaking of rosemary, I don't let you know this not. We're gonna have rosemary plugs available this spring. Boom.
Yeah. How, you gonna sell them just one plug? Cause you don't need but one.
Yeah. Yeah, you can actually be able to build your bundle. You can go there and build your herb bundle.
Oh,
Ain't that cool? Yeah.
That is cool. All right.
If you're doing raised beds, folks, if you're doing either one of them, you really want to think about irrigation. But specifically if you're doing raised beds, you want to make sure that you got irrigation in there. There's one downfall to elevated or raised beds, and it is they dry out quicker than anything else does. So make sure that you have a plan for irrigation. Also, in my book, as far as in-ground, there's so many options nowadays to having drip irrigation. It's really inexpensive. I think that's a good thing to do either way, but specifically raised beds, you got to have irrigation. It wouldn't hurt to have an automated timer in case life gets in the way, but they take a lot of water.
Yeah. One thing I read is hand watering is very romantic until it feels like it's punishment. I've been without my irrigation in my raised beds for almost a year now.
Yeah, I got it back up.
And got it back up this weekend.
Our construction project took it out.
Yeah, my she shed, the dump truck took out my irrigation. And why I really do enjoy hand watering when I have the time is so convenient to go out there and flip one switch and water.
Yep. We're going to run over these real quick here. Accept what weeds are information. There are certain weeds out there that you'll find in your garden that indicate problems. So we have certain weeds that indicate a pH problem. We got other weeds that indicate compaction and things like that. So if you want to Google weeds that indicate problems, weeds are a good indicator sometimes of particular issues. If you have poor drainage, you can have weeds, particular weeds that pop up there. Back in the day when I was in the landscape industry, we could look at weeds in the yard and tell what the problem was. So you can also do that. So weeds are...
And that can be frustrating and just really overwhelming, especially right if it rains and you go out there and you've got all those weeds. If you don't stay on top of it, you cannot out-hoe nature.
You can't out-hoe nature. That's a good one. Track what you're doing. Make some notes of it. Don't go overboard with it, but just track enough of it. One of the main things for me is to make sure I know what I planted where.
Right, labeling it.
Labeling. Now I've got in my mind, I've got my dates down pretty good. I know when to plant stuff, and not so I don't have to do a lot of tracking there. But make sure you track what you planted.
Yeah, I like to put the dates on my labels.
Mm-hmm. And this is going to come as a surprise, but leave you a little white space. Leave an area always available to plant something, because you never know when something's going to strike you and you need to plant it. So try to always have you an open spot all the time, and it can be in that rest period where it's resting, or you got something, you just letting it lay out a little bit.
So if you want to plant something new, or you forgot something.
Yep. Measure success differently. So a lot of times we measure success by how much it gave, productivity, or how much work we had into it. But try to measure it by how much you actually enjoyed it. It could be simply of the beauty of the plant. If you had one good meal off of it, was it worth it? Try to measure things a little different than we normally would when we start looking at how much it actually gave overall.
Yeah, things that bring you calm and peace instead of things that's always going to make you feel behind.
Yep. So there they are, folks. There's some things we would do different if we had to give some advice. The biggest thing is I would start small. That's the biggest piece of advice I would give. Start small and then expand into that. All right, maybe that helps somebody.
Yeah. If you got any other tips for just starting a garden, or things that you're going to do different in 2026 than you did last year, put them in the comments. We love reading those.
Speaking of small gardens, our garden spotlight this week is Darrell Hamilton, Jacksonville, Florida, Zone 9B. Now you can tell there, Darrell probably lives in the subdivision. He don't have a lot of area there, but he has took a small area in his backyard and made a beautiful garden out of it. What he's got there is Georgia Southern collards. He's got purple top turnips and curly leaf mustard. And he's got Hoss green blaze on that second row. Third row, he's got brassicas, collards, broccoli, cauliflower, collards, broccoli, and cabbage. And then his fourth row, he's got Tom multiplied onions and wild acre peas. So he's took a little bitty area. I say a little bitty area. It's a decent sized area here, but he's kept it and he's done a good job maintaining it. He don't have more than what he can tend to.
He's got drip tape.
He's got drip tape. He's got it in his backyard so he can walk out there when he gets in. If he's got 15 minutes, he can walk out there and do some work to it. And he can tend to it. And he's growing things that he enjoys to grow, and they're going to enjoy. Darrell doing a wonderful job there. Thank you for your
support.
Yep.
He did say, I just wanted to say that everything I buy from Hoss is excellent quality.
Oh, thank you, Darrell. All right.
Seed of the
Seed of the Lord.
Seed of the week.
Seed of the week. I almost forgot this one. So this is a new one, folks. It took me about 3 months last year to come up with this one right here. This is a large banana pepper, but what is very unique about this banana pepper right here is it has resistance to tomato spotted wilt virus. So many times we don't understand what happens to our plants when they die. Here in the South, we have a problem with a virus called tomato spotted wilt virus. Mostly it happens to tomatoes, but also happens to eggplants and peppers. Peppers more than you think. So being able to find a banana pepper that was resistant to tomato spotted wilt virus was groundbreaking for us southern gardeners here, and we've added it to our Hossinator series here. A great banana pepper, but what's even greater is it has that resistance to that dreaded disease that we lose so many plants to every year. Boom.
Boom.
All right, garden spotlight of the week. The bobblehead.
The bobblehead.
I got garden spotlight, the bobblehead. Bobblehead winner. So last week, You found the bobblehead and you put it in the comments below.
It was in the cabbage. I mean, the lettuce.
It was in the lettuce. It was hid really
Yeah, you knocked it over.
good. And Andy McQueen found it and he put in the comments last week, and he's this week's winner of the Get Dirty socks. Andy, send us your shipping information to.
Support@growhouse.com.
And he's on the set here somewhere this week, the bobblehead. He's bobbling around. If you find it, put it in the comments below and we'll draw next week and see who the winner is. Wow, it's starting to get busy around here. Everybody's getting in gardening fever. Cabin fever, as I call it. Everybody's planning for their spring garden and starting to order. Weather's been tough outside, but you guys are ordering.
Gives you more time to plan.
We're thinking about springtime. I'm thinking about warmer weather.
I'm thinking about
Daily.
pretty flowers.
Yep. Thank you for joining. Now it's time for you to get outside and get your hands dirty.